Welcome back. Today we'll be addressing Guyon syndrome. Guyon syndrome is where the ulnar nerve is entrapped in the Guyon's canal. The carpal tunnel lies over here towards the thenar side, thumb joint side of the wrist. The Guyon's canal lies towards the pinky portion of the wrist. And so what we want to do is stretch out the tissues around the canal and strengthen the extensor group in order to reduce the impingement over the ulnar nerve. So what we want to first do, this same stretch is for Cubital Tunnel Syndrome, where I'm going to take the affected hand, pointing my fingers towards the ceiling, arm in this position here, bending my wrist back into extension, rotating it inward, and stretching along this portion of the wrist junction. You want to focus on really feeling the stretch in this area to reduce the compression over the ulnar nerve. You can also do your basic palm up stretch here, which is going to get the entire group and helps reduce compression over the wrist junction. Each of these stretches you want to do 3 times, 10 to 15 seconds for each stretch, and you want to do these prior to performing your exercises. So what we're going to do next is address the strength and balance. So what we're going to do is perform active exercises and active stretches at the same time. So when I'm exercising the extensor group, I'm automatically stretching the flexor group. The first basic exercise is palm up elbow moving exercise. I'm actually extending my wrists and fingers, spreading my fingers apart, and extending my elbow. You can alternate this exercise with the palm up isolated, where I'm just extending my wrist and fingers and spreading them apart. And making sure that when I'm extending my wrist, I'm not bending towards this side. It's real common for us to move towards the ulnar side of the wrist because that's the way the hand moves. But what you want to do is try to keep a main straight line when doing the exercise. I don't want to deviate over here when I'm extending. Just nice and smooth and straight. The next exercise is going to be in the palm down position or functional position. I'm going into a palm down position, bands underneath my arm, and extending the wrist and fingers and spreading my fingers apart. Okay, that's the second exercise. The next exercise is going to be a pronation, and what I'm doing here, I'm extending my wrist and fingers and rotating my hand over, so I'm actually stretching from this point to my medial epicondyle. It's the furthest distance is in this position. So it stretches all the muscles all along here to reduce compression over the Guyon's canal. Exercise is the pronation exercise. So I'm in a palm up position, I'm rotating my wrists and fingers and spreading them and ending up in the palm down position. This stretches across the wrist junction by making this distance and this distance the furthest apart when I'm in this position here, stretching these tissues and reducing compression on the Guyon's canal. The next exercise is called radial deviation. I want to stretch the tissues on the ulnar side of the wrist here. I can stretch these back as well in this position. So I'm extending my wrists and fingers and cocking my wrist upwards. And the final exercise once again is the palm up elbow moving, or the palm up isolated exercise that we did at the beginning. Now all these exercises you're not going to do at once. When you receive the program, it lines out weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you add exercises each week. You increase the sets, the numbers, repetitions, and the number of exercises. So what you want to do is perform your stretches followed by your exercises, and that's for Guyon's syndrome. So until we have another injury next week, do your exercises and stay healthy.